They have made Budda Baker the highest paid safety when we talk about new money. Well, I always roll my eyes when I see these initial reports, because what happens is the information merchants will say whatever the agent tells them to say. Otherwise, they ain't getting it. And 4 years, $59 million, $33 million guaranteed, best contract ever for a safety. Well, he still had a year left on his prior deal. It's really a $12 million per year deal over 5 years, not nearly $15 million per year over 4. And that $33 million guaranteed isn't fully guaranteed. And fully guaranteed doesn't even mean fully guaranteed, as we're learning in the Earl Thomas case. It's guaranteed for skill, injury, or cap. We don't know how much of the $33 million is guaranteed for skill, injury, and cap. But still, he comes out of nowhere as the highest paid safety in terms of new money. And, it was a surprise. Nobody knew. There was no hold-in. There was no reporting. There was no jostling. There was nothing. They had him under contract for 1 more year. They could have waited. They're going to have some guys they have to pay coming up in the not-too-distant future with Kyler Murray. Now, he's still 2 years away, but you got to plan for that. And you've got DeAndre Hopkins. They give this big money to Budda Baker at a time when it's clear DeAndre Hopkins wants his. A little awkward situation potentially in Arizona, Chris.
Well, yes. I mean, I think they'll be able to balance it all when all's said and done. I mean, I would like to think they're thinking about the DeAndre Hopkins thing there and realize that this could be, coming down the road, or they're going to have to deal with it at some point. I know the Budda Baker thing, shocked some people out there. I understand that. But I think the big thing I would say is, the first thing is, just like Joey Bosa with the Chargers, right, where we talk about, man, is he really the best defensive player in football? I mean, nobody really says he's the best. No, you're right. He's not. He's not the best. But, he's in that conversation, as we always talk about, for top 5, top 6, that kind of guy. And we know when one of those guys comes up as a free agent or gets a new deal, they usually become the richest at their position and when it's all said and done. It's an incredibly important position this day and age in the NFL. I mean, there is great value with these safety hybrid players like Budda Baker. He's a lot like a Honey Badger or a Jamal Adams or Derwin James, where they do a lot around him and his talents on that defense. He can cover the George Kittles of the world, and yet he can tackle the Matt Breidas of the world in space, or take on guys and blockers that way. So he's got a very important skill set this day and age in the NFL, with how much, teams are multiple on offense, and tight ends can be receivers, and, running backs can be receivers, and, of course, good running backs and all those things. So he's in that conversation. Is he as good as Derwin James or Jamal Adams or Justin Simmons of the Denver Broncos or Honey Badger? No, I don't think he is. But he's a really damn good player. And I think from that point, he's that next group of guys where you could say he's the best after those names we just named. Eddie Jackson was the highest paid safety in football till yesterday. I don't think anybody was sitting here going, Eddie Jackson's the best safety in football for the Chicago Bears. So I guess we shouldn't be shocked is what I'm saying.
It's all about timing. It's all about getting a guy while he's ascending,
right?
Not while he's plateaued or descending.
Right.
But, there are these other names, and it's funny. Budda Baker gets the contract. He's not trending on Twitter. It's Jamal Adams who's trending because it raises the bar for him. Now,
Definitely.
Look, he already wanted more than $15 million. He reportedly is thinking about 20. I don't know that he's going to get to 20 unless he waits for the market to otherwise get closer to 20. But it does raise that bar for Adams, for Anthony Harris, who's playing under his franchise tag in Minnesota this year with no long-term deal, and the Vikings could tag him again next year at a 20% bump. Justin Simmons, same deal in Denver, playing under the franchise tag, and the Broncos are going to have to figure out what to do. And, maybe one of these guys sneaks through to the open market. It'll be interesting to see what a top-level safety would get on the open market right out of the gates, because if Budda Baker is getting almost $15 million a year in new money, while still under contract for 1 more year with his current team, and they could franchise tag him and they could do all these other things to keep him around, what does that guy who steps onto the market the first day of free agency potentially get? And between Anthony Harris and Justin Simmons, there's a chance one of them is going to do it next year.
Yeah,
Chris.
I would think one of them, because, I don't think we're going to see Jamal Adams or Derwin James ever hit that. I would have a hard time thinking Justin Simmons does either. We'll see what the Vikings do. They have another safety they're paying there, and Harrison Smith, a lot of money. So you don't want to, put too much money to one position. But you're right, this certainly has raised the bar. And I expect, Jamal Adams to be that guy. Yeah, this helps him but I kind of expect Jamal Adams to be that like George Kittle guy that we just saw with the contracts, where he kind of blows the rest of the safety contracts out of the water a little bit. He sets himself apart. Like where we saw Julio Jones, like, hey, wide receiver was $18 million, and all of a sudden he got $22 million a year and really moved the bar. I think Jamal Adams is going to be that type of talent, which then will lead it up for Derwin James. But Budda Baker is a hell of a football player. He really is, Mike. I mean, he was, when this contract happened last night, and I knew we were going to talk about it on the show, I turned on film yesterday and sat there and watched Budda Baker for about 30 or 40 minutes and just went, damn. You know, he's all over the place. He really is. He's a ball hawk. He's got a lot of honey badger-ish type, style of play about him. We just don't hear about him. Arizona's not worth a damn lately. Their defense has stunk, and they don't have household names that way, but he is a really damn good player, and I think very worthy of this contract with the way the NFL works right now.
Yeah, and look, that's the way it goes, and there are going to be guys that aren't on the radar screen as the next up for getting the big contract who just happen to get it because of circumstance, timing, and everything else that goes into it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.